Hey, welcome to the Real HD show, a higher discussion. This is the show where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of our culture, and we heal it with freedom music. Freedom music happens every Wednesday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. It's yours, Wu Tang Clan, Glow by not Raphael Sadiq, and uh, what's homegirl's name? Nas's ex-wife, Khalees. Real dope record. Um, Snoop and uh, the House Party record with Snoop and Angie Stone. We was rocking, man. We was playing some dope stuff. We was playing the Most Def Marvin Gaye tribute album. Really, really dope stuff. Join us from 7:30 to 8 p.m. To get involved with Freedom Music. All that battery in your back to help you be prepared and not scared, motivated to move on and have a great rest of your 21st century. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, right? Make sure you jump on that, turn on all your notifications so that every time we have a Real HD show, a higher discussion, you can join us and have just that, a higher discussion. Somebody's listening right now. Let me know how I sound. I'm trying a different sound measure, and I'm hoping it's working. So if it's not working, HBO help a brother out, let a brother know. Total package energy, waters, gels, teas, zips, uh, melanated company, Olympic tested people approved. Put a battery in your back, help you with the second half of your day. All natural ingredients, by the way. Conference with this brother on the phone, real good brother. Go check them out. Better than Red Bull and all of those energy drinks. Check out Total Package Energy, and we'll kind of flip flop throughout our show to the different sponsors and the different ways that we can support the show. Let's try to support the show right now. So if we see something that you like, you hear something that you didn't know before, or you just endeared with the way we do our thing and how we hit our slang, how we deliver it, please Cash App, dollar sign the Real HD Show, 25, 50, or 100 are the flex points. Um, yeah, so let's get ready to get into it, do it, right? Because we have a lot to get to tonight. We are here for this. I put the flyer or the post on the board so that everyone can see what's happening tonight. Yep, we're loading it up because we got some crucial topics to talk about that might just help you make some crucial decisions about your life, about your times, about your allegiances, and about the way that you conduct yourself with business and matters of finance. So, we're here tonight for CIA masks of blacks, Cop-a-ganda, Kids for Cash, a three-tier issue. Um, U.S. courts and elites lining people up, and Black Witches. What's up with that? Huh? Yeah, we here for that tonight, man. So you guys could tap in. You cool, you good to go. Here are the call letters on the bottom. Here's the Talk Your Ish call letters, StreamYard.com. That is the wrong, those are the wrong call letters. Okay. Um, hmm. Wow. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So if you'd like to join, those are the call letters for you to join. And if anybody who's trying to get in wants to join, please jump in. You can find me on Facebook on the Deadline channel. You can find me on the Community Justice Initiative channel or the AJ James page. Please tap in. Please tap in. I am going to forward this new um, URL for everybody to join to my Facebook page because I did not realize that it wasn't the correct one. It was an old one from the other day. So if you're trying to tap in, here's a brand new way to do it. I'm going to put it on the Real HD Show alert page. So you guys can go there. Please do. And tap in. It ain't nothing new. Y'all know what to do. Um, Let me plug this in so I get a little bit of boost and support. You know, need that boost and support. Okay. No, Sister Aurora, it's on. It's a new link. I had to create a new one because for whatever reason, from time to time, that silly thing keeps happening. So this is a new link, and anyone could jump on. Please do and join me up above, like Spoonie Love said, up above. If y'all know about them crank yankers, y'all just know. Um, Join us, man, and we could do our thing. So the new code is uh, AEJGZ 4NJR5. And we have people already waiting to get on board. And let me put this in for my normal folks um, to jump on in. Do I have a plug right here? Yeah, let me do that. Give me a sec, family, because we got to have people in the building with us, right? It's only right. It's an 85-degree day. Let us know where you from and what it's doing temperature wise. Cause last week it was 50 degrees. It was like 48 degrees last week. Now it's 85 degrees. So these temps is going nutty. They're going nutty butter bars and they don't know what they want to do with themselves. So we gotta adjust. We gotta move on. We gotta make it do what it do on the show. Um yeah, so I'm playing with my phone. I'm putting it in my phone now. Let me make sure the appropriate heads got the right jump. Okay. 'Cause I know Godspeed probably want to come through and rack shop. So again, it's AEJGZ 4NJR5. Okay. Yep. So there you go. Yep. So please come through. Please come through. Tap in, tap in. Tell a friend. Y'all could either like, share, or subscribe. Y'all could leave comments. Y'all could come live on the stage with us and get busy. Or you guys can, we're blasting off to, oh gosh, maybe about 10 different outlets. We got about 5 on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Mob Crush, D Live, Trovo Nation. We are everywhere you want to be. We are the Real HD Show. And we appreciate y'all being here tonight. Could have been anywhere, but y'all rocking here with us. And that is big time. You are appreciated, like my man Pop used to say. So let's get into it, man. We're gonna do, we're not gonna do an elders and ancestors blueprint because we could do a mashup, smash up, but I want to make sure that we're focusing on some things tonight. So we're gonna start quickly within the AAT report, and then we will get into it on the other side. Here we go. Hey, so we are in the middle of an AAT report, our healthy, wealthier, and wiser segment for a brand new you because we need cell power. And nobody's talking directly to us about how we can have cell power. So that's the reason for the AAT report brought on to you by my man Sincere back in the day, about maybe 2, 3 years ago. He laid this down so eloquently where he would come on and he would say what he needs to say and give his presentation. Our agrarian scientist out of Morehouse. He's gonna be back, by the way. We just waiting for his instruments to get on point. And then once that happened, we will be rocking and rolling with Sincere, the agrarian scientist, back on the Real HD show. And you know how passionate he was. He used to light it up. So we can't wait for that. That's going to be real fun because he's very opinionated, he's very spirited, and we appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? On the Real HD show. But let's get into what we came to do, which is healthy, wealthier, and wiser for a brand new you. So here it is right here. All right. And one of these things say doctors discover foods that prevent heart disease and diabetes. Yeah, man. This is out of Daily Mail, right? UK. So your subtle signs, your skin, and that means you have diabetes. So regular eating, a combination of fruits and vegetables, nuts, and whole grains may reduce your risk of developing two of the most deadly chronic diseases, a study says. A group of American researchers in phytosteroids, um, a compound found naturally in foods like nuts, seeds, grains, vegetable oils, can help you improve your metabolism and reduce inflammation. Now, we talked about inflammation on the show before. You know, those are those little annoying, nagging pains that come around your body's telltale signs that, your white blood cells rushing to the surface to tell you that you have some issues with your body. Now, inflammation doesn't just show up in a sign of pain, it also shows up in a sign of like itching and bumps and dermatitis and things like that. So, however, up to 90% of Americans don't eat the recommended daily serving of fruits and vegetables and whole grains. Wow. Okay. Um, you know, what do you call that? Popeyes, right? My Popeyes people, all my fast food chicken eaters, right? Phytosteroids are compounds similar to cholesterol and are promoted as a way to improve heart health and decrease the LDL, bad cholesterol, as they are known, to absorb fat like substances. All right. And whatever doesn't get absorbed gets bled out through, or at least sweated out through the endocrine system and through the blood. So that's the first one right there, man. Tap in, tap in. Are you getting your daily uh, amount of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, so that you can stave off that type 2 diabetes that seems to be running rampant amongst our folks? Because, there's one thing when you are diabetic type 1 and you're born with it, but then there's another thing when you're type 2 and it's totally preventable and reversible. I'll say it again, type 2, you don't have to suffer going to diabetic fits and diabetic comas, lose limbs, and all of that. Type 2 is preventable and it is fixable. I was with Smart Tawi out in Brooklyn many, many years ago. And I remember Queen of Four and Brother Power telling me that you could reverse it. They've had cases, right? They're natural holistic healers out of Brooklyn. Shout out to them. Shout out to Supernova and the whole family down there. Laquan, all my family down there, right? Laquan Leap. Check out the Quantum Leap Lab, man. Go support that. Go spend your dollars in that direction. You know what I mean? Real dope MC, real dope brother. Still getting it in. Still got a passion for the verbals on the mic. Ferocious dude on the mic. Please support that. Anyway, so they told me you can cure type 2 diabetes with a total fruit sun regimen over the course of the summer months. Sweating, fruit, natural eating, natural water, natural regiments, that will get you right. Yeah, man. So, at the very least, it's starting to become a hot, hot season, right? It's starting to become hot season. And when it's starting to become hot season, what do we usually do? It doesn't make you want to eat as much, right? It makes you want to eat just a little bit less. You sweat a little bit more, which is healthier for you, especially if you're like a northeastern person, where we get a lot of gray. We get like 6, 7 months of gray throughout the year. Not a whole lot of vitamin D, so that sweating becomes really important for your homeostasis. You know what I'm saying? I'll put those call letters back up so you can see it. If you missed it, it's in the Real HD Facebook alert chat, and I put it in a couple of people's personal um, DM. So if y'all want to join the show, you can do so. Um, so we're still in the middle of an AAT report, and we're talking about foods that will help you stave off diabetes. So we're talking about foods with polysteroids in it. Polysteroids, like fruits, nuts, seeds. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, they used to put all of that stuff in natural granola. You know what I'm saying? And now granola is a little sweetened. It's a little more sweet now than it used to be. They want to put chocolate and caramel and all kind of sweeteners in granola. Make sure your granola got like seeds in it. Make sure your granola got walnuts in it. Make sure your granola got almonds in it. Make sure your granola got all those polysteroids foods that are good for you. Make sure your fruits have seeds in them. Don't eat any of this hydroponic crap. Make sure your fruits have seeds in them. And if your fruits don't have seeds in them, just blend it. Blend it, juice it, take the juice, drink the juice. I wouldn't eat the fruit. I would just drink the juice, right? So at least you're getting that, and you might even still eat the fiber from the actual fruit. That would be good for you. So, yeah, man, we here, we doing it, and we doing it that way. We're waiting for all our folks to come through. I appreciate you understanding the mix up on that end and hopping on this end. Let's get some people live on stage or live in the comments, and we can have a higher discussion. Okay, so we are moving on from that. Still in the AAT report groove. We are going to show you this one. Um, Ozempic raises risk of silent cancer that's surging in young people. Wow, that's right. Ozempic. We got to deal with it again. So we had a series where we talked about Ozempic, we talked about the good, we talked about the bad of it. And now we're talking about Ozempic raising the risks for cancer, right? Surging in young people. So why are young people taking Ozempic when you could just work out? Why are you doing that? I thought working out for the ladies was all the rage now. You put on something skin tight and run up in the gym and work it out, right? Right. Despite the melee that people get into about the creepies and the me toos and the back and forth with that, you don't have to take Ozempic to lose weight. But a lot of people who think that you can, like this has been Hollywood's secret for a very long time, that a lot of these stars over a quick period of time would get on an Ozempic plan, and the Ozempic would help them drop the weight. Um, you know what I mean? So let me see. Can I get back to it? Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about in terms of this, right, was a quick notion about this particular story. I wonder who's taking. I have questions, right? Because we said we saw before how they're putting Ozempic on the Medicaid schedule, so Ozempic can be available to many of the diabetics, right? And it's starting to become more of a a vanity diuretic than it is anything else. It doesn't really allow you to lose the weight in a way that would help you gain a life discipline, right? It's designed to help you have the weight on you and take it over time and lose the weight, but then you don't have the muscle tone to support the new body structure that you created, and you don't have the discipline. The discipline is gone throughout that as well. And that's what you really want. You want that discipline, right? You want that ability to um, be on the Ozempic, but and have that as an aid, not a crutch. You know what I'm saying? And if it's cancer forming, why would you want to be involved with something that's cancer forming? That's out of control, in my opinion. As much, we're losing loved ones left and right in the community over these cancer causing agents that are popping up out of everywhere. Nanoplastic, microplastic, smoking, fentanyl, this, that, the third. Cancer's everywhere and it's metastasizing like crazy. So why would I take a chance with my health if I could gain a discipline and work that throughout my life, have a muscle memory for the discipline that I gained, and then use that to give me some, I guess, remembrance that I can do this. Like I can remember the first time I ran a mile, I pulled my hamstring and I completed the mile limping through my hamstring in the rain, in the mud, falling. But you know what that did to me? It cleared up my fear of running a mile. So now if I got to get on the track and run a mile, that ain't a thing. I might struggle through it, but I'm going to run that mile. You know what I'm saying? But for some people, doing a mile or two or whatever the prescribed regiment that you have to do that requires discipline. That's a brand new way of regimenting the body that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. The ladies don't want to sweat out their hair. The brothers are really unsure what to do or what their body limits are. And you should really get into those sorts of things before you're taking diuretics, especially if you're young. And if you don't have any, cognitive functional diseases or debilitating diseases of the body, if you're young, just get out there and get into it, man. Buy you a pair of good sneakers. You know what I'm saying? Start off early, start off with a stretch, and then go get into it. Develop a everyday structure and discipline. Even if you walk, you know what I'm saying? Even if you walk. My German Shepherd, he passed away. I miss him so much. And one of the things he reminded me of is um, I hadn't done this in a while at that point. I was doing it for him because he was my poochie and he needed to get out and do his thing in the natural sunshine and air, and he loved it. Right, he loved the walk. That was the best part of his day. Right, for him, the walk was everything. He got to discover new places, see new things, sniff all the trees, poop, crap, pee, everything under the sun. So I walk in honor of him a lot of times, just muscle memory. Because we were going these long walks, like super long miles. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a GS, he's a German Shepherd. And I read German Shepherds can run for miles a day. And if you're in the city and you got a GS, you probably aren't really giving that dog enough running time and enough roaming time for that dog to be healthy. So when you do take them on walks, it can't be to the corner and back. It can't be to the store and back. It got to be a length of time. And we should do the same thing. We should be walking to a length of time. You should be breaking a moderate sweat because you walked enough miles to really, they say, what is it, 10,000 steps is health. Anything over 10,000, anything over 12,000 is kind of a waste. So make sure you're getting your 10,000 to 12,000 steps in a day. And, you could stave off having to take things like Ozempic because it's cancer causing. Now, this leads me to another question on my people out there, please. All my party people. Answer the question for me. Riddle me this. Why would they put this on a medical ones? Why would they put this on a Medicaid schedule if it can be potentially cancer causing. Why would the FDA do that? If this is cancer causing, Ozempic, right? If it can get people addicted, and if people really don't have the physical discipline that would go with taking an Ozempic and what that would mandate, why would they do that? Because it makes bread. If you believe that, tap in. Let me know. Have you taken Ozempic? Do you have an Ozempic story? Let me know. Do you have an Ozempic story? If you do, please, we'd like to hear it. Put it in the comments. Here are the call letters below, and you can come on up and let's have a higher discussion about that sort of thing. All right, man. So we moving on. All right, man. We haven't done this in a while, so we're gonna do it tonight. Stolen legacy moment. A stolen legacy moment. Wow. We haven't done that in quite a bit, but we're gonna do it tonight. Here we go. Real HD show. All right, so we are in a stolen legacy moment. GM James, Carter G. Woodson, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Van Sertima, Francis Cress Wilson, all our great scholars, all our great information warriors, Steve Coakley, Dr. Joy DeGruy, who's still living. Bless up to all y'all. If it wasn't for y'all, we would be we'd be in more of the wilderness than we're in today. Let's just put it that way. Blessings to y'all and all y'all hard work and diligence. I want to show y'all a clip of something that is forgotten. It's not gone, but it's forgotten. And a lot of people would like to forget this because it makes America honest about itself. And you know, America. I talked to y'all about America has a cult of fast fashion, right? And we saw that episode about how the clothing gets so wasted in America that it shows up on the shores, in the water systems, and used as blackmail and extortion for a lot of other countries, a lot of melanated countries across the globe. And it's horrible. If they don't accept the secondhand clothing, they can't, they put trade embargoes on their land if they don't accept the wasteful clothing that America runs through. But we want to talk about a specific type of clothing, and we want to talk about the specific type of origin of it. And you might have heard this before. If you did, please tap in and let us know what you think of this particular video. It's never too old. This has become an American staple, and I'm talking about none other than blue jeans. That's right, blue jeans and melanated people. What does blue jeans and melanated people have to do with one another? Let's find out. Stolen Legacy Report, Real HD Show. Check it out.
Now. Oh, okay. So I've seen so many great videos on how denim is made, usually out of cotton. But in order to make it blue, originally you needed this, which is indigo, which is actually a plant. And in addition to cotton, this was slavery's other cash crop, the one we don't talk about. Before synthetic dyes, if you wanted to dye something blue, generally you needed indigo. So it was a huge moneymaker. As soon as Europeans colonized the Americas, they were going to grow the thing that made the most money. Indigo really burst onto the scene with the 3 plantations run by 16-year-old Eliza Lucas, that, of course, ran off of the labor of enslaved peoples, who also brought the knowledge of how to even grow indigo in the first place. In fact, according to this article, it was indigo that was a major driver towards growing the slave trade in the southern colonies in the first place. According to Donna Hardy, the president of the International Center for Indigo Culture, the governors in Georgia decided to legalize slavery in order to keep the indigo industry growing. In the 1700s, indigo was more valuable than cotton and sugar. Some say more powerful than the gun. And for a time, people were using indigo cakes as money. And before the denim that we know today, indigo dyed cotton cloth was called this, an incredibly coarse and uncomfortable fabric that was the fabric that enslaved people were allowed to wear, which, in addition to being really cheap and uncomfortable, also served as a visual marker of enslaved status. It was the production of this cloth that led to today's denim and the infrastructure of today's denim history, and even the US's entire fashion economy. Miko Underwood writes that what we recognize as staple pieces of a denim collection, the overall jumpsuit, trucker jacket, and work shirt, all originated on the plantations of the American South. And of course, the other big ingredient is cotton, which was booming, eventually outpaced indigo, especially as synthetic dyes were invented and indigo wasn't really needed as much anymore. But the story does not end there. No, no, no. Because, as Zoe Washington writes, the history of denim is also rooted in Black activism. And there is so much to talk about there. Lastly, Miko Underwood runs this really cool project called the Denim Collective, which explores this topic, as a part of her sustainable denim company, Oak and Acorn from Harlem, NYC. So go check it out. We probably don't talk about the indigo part of slavery very much because a lot of people don't know what it is, and the vast majority of the time synthetic dyes are used for it now. But it's an enormous chunk of this history, which is why it is really important to.
All right. So we are back in the middle of a stolen legacy moment on the real, a stolen legacy report on the Real HD show. So tap in. The call letters are on the bottom. You can jump in if you'd like to say something or get involved with the show. Did you know about blue jeans and the antebellum South and how that was the original dress of the forced laborers in the antebellum South? Some by which may or may not be ancestral to us. It's important that what started as a clothing for laborers, free laborers, forced laborers, right, who work for free, right, became an American tradition. It became the spirit of the West. It became the spirit of rugged individualism. It became the spirit of a working man. Commercialism got behind um, denim, right? Um, oh, Sister Aurora's on. Okay, great. Hey, peace, Sister Aurora.
Hey,
What's
how are
happening
you?
with you? What's going on? Welcome to the Real HD show. Let me bring in the style.
Yes, well, I'm glad I got back on the phone.
Oh,
When I was waiting
I'm
for
glad you hit me up in the chat because
this.
there was a little bit of confusion about the link and everything. So I'm glad you got it and you were able to get on. How you been?
Oh, good, good. I've been euphoric. Because my daughter graduated from high school.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, got accepted to.
They're not making that an easy feat.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you. And then
They're
when
not
you look at
making that
the
an easy
transcript,
feat.
it's like, yeah, I remember when
Mhm.
it all went wrong.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna get into something that speaks to that very notion about how difficult that can be for parents and kids and everything above, and how there's not even a little bit of game, there's a whole lot of game being run on parents. That's one of the reasons we're here tonight. Cash for kids in schools. Very interesting thing. Very interesting thing. And I have some anecdotes that I wanted to get to. But let's get back to the blue jean piece. So yeah, so if y'all have any experience with blue jeans, if y'all knew about this, if y'all didn't know about it, if y'all did know about the antebellum South history with blue jeans, it was okay for people in bondage in antebellum times to wear blue jeans because folks didn't always have to rebuy clothing for the workforce. But then when it became a prideful thing and it became a symbol of commerciality, they made it a symbol of rugged individualism, a symbol of achievement. And now you can't have a fashion collection without a pair of dungarees or blue jeans. And that came from the exploits of people who could have been our ancestors. I can't tell if a lot of sisters or brothers wore it, but I know it was available at that time. And at those that was the population that first donned blue jeans. Um, Sister Aurora, I know you had your bookstore. You're a very conscious person. Did you know about the history? What do you think about the history of blue jeans in the antebellum South? And how does that contrast affect how we look at blue jeans today? Or does anybody give a damn? Does anybody care?
Thank-
We
uh,
keeping it real?
there was that time. Everybody remembers back in high school, where
Right.
you just had to have at least one pair of blue jeans,
Uh-huh.
you know, and you would
Uh-huh.
cry when your mom got you like Levi, didn't get you Levi's or didn't get you,
Uh-huh. Wranglers or Levi's or one of the
right,
name
Wranglers or
brands. Right,
Levi's or
right,
something
right.
like that. And now it's like, come on, y'all actually paid $700 for a pair of jeans.
Ah,
Okay.
how about that evolution? It
And
comes
like,
from it comes from being the workforce brand of unpaid laborers in the antebellum South to being the fashion symbol of the world.
because they knew what was easiest to maintain,
Hmm.
especially on days that they couldn't, like now we can wash every night. But back then, you had to take the stone out and, be, you know,
The washboard,
the
right?
washboard and all of that. So
Uh-huh.
as my
For
great grandmother
sure.
used to always say, I'm like, oh, yeah, thank goodness. But
Hmm.
I remember the ringers because I thought we were cool because we had one after you put the clothes in, you put in the ringer and then you turn it. And I was
Yep,
like, how the
yep,
hell do I know that?
yep. Don't spend no
Yeah.
time down south. They gonna put you to work.
But they,
Don't go
created
to
any kind of things. They created
Virginia or
tests.
Georgia with your relatives for a couple weeks. They gonna work your butt.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
washing all the clothes and
It's
then
like I
some.
was bamboozled.
I thought this supposed to be fun, Mama.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wake up at 5 in the morning.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Auntie wasn't playing no games.
That's right.
Yeah, man. Um, so I just wanted to show that. I don't know if you caught that before you got on, but I showed a video that talked about the history of you know, blue jeans and antebellum South
Mm-hmm.
and related to a lot of the uh, forced labor. That was the uniform of forced laborers in the antebellum South.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it got its popularity and evolved into what we have right now. TikTok girls in blue jeans losing their minds. You know what I'm
And
saying?
booty jeans, not even
Booty
blue jeans.
jeans, right? Apple bottoms and all that, right? What a evolution. What a evolution. So we're gonna keep it moving within a stolen legacy report because we haven't done a stolen legacy report in a while. We're gonna do that tonight. I'm gonna show y'all a quick trailer of a show that's about to come on. It might be out, it might not be out, but it's worth talking about nonetheless because these are some of the things that they really put a Hollywood spin on this particular production. And Hollywood is that is just that. It's a Hollywood. So it's a wood that people used to make magic wands with. So they named the production area of the cinematic area of the country after a magical place, right? So they say if you take the Hollywood, you can create magic, right? So of course that's what's the basis for what happens in a lot of cinematography, a lot of movies, a lot of docuseries. This just happens to be a docuseries, this particular,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called "The Men That Built America." Really, really interesting. I'm gonna play the clip real quick, and we can talk about it on the other side. 'Cause I think it's worth talking about because they leaving out a lot of stuff. And I think it's worth really getting into. So here we go. Men That Built America, Stolen Legacy Report. Real HD show. Check it out.
When I got to Memphis, put my old baby down. He said, I can't take you to heaven. I can't save your soul.
So that is the trailer for Men Who Built America. Uh, First impressions on that before I go ham and eggs on that one. Before I put the hot sauce on that one, what's your first impressions on that?
I'm sorry, I had technical difficulties, so I could hear you, but I couldn't find the screen.
Oh
So
wow.
I only heard it. I did not see it. But now I know
Okay,
what I
so what
did
I'll do
wrong.
is I'll put that post up
Okay.
online. Um,
I don't know what I
and I'll
touched.
show you what it's about, and then we can talk about it because I have some thoughts and some questions. And um, okay, so here we go. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you share? Can you see my screen if I share it?
Hold on. Where did the heart go? Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, so
It's
that's
it's
it.
not on your end. There's a storm here, and it
Oh
I,
wow.
it's blipping in all kinds of stuff. Like I'm hearing every other. So
Oh man, I'm sorry about that.
no, that's not you.
Yeah, so that's the series, The Men Who Built America, and that's kind of the poster for it. And there's some like legit actors in there. They're doing a full Trumponian. I'll call it Trumponian, right? They're doing a full Trumpism workup of the history of America. The most elite figures in America who helped build America, right? Vanderbilt, Rockefeller, Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, Henry Ford, they all built empires and created advances in technology. They helped to shape the country in its early days by doing things such as developing uh, modes for railroads, financial systems, and making cars accessible to the masses. Um, the series profiles the lives of these visionaries, including perspectives from business icons like Mark Cuban, Greenspan, T. Boone Pickens, and Jack Welch. So there you have it. Men who built America. Now, this reeks of Trump, and I'm sure at some point I'll hear that he might have had his hands, or some of his cronies might have had their hands all over this, and it's missing a lot of the melanated presence. We're talking about 1800s,
Mm-hmm.
1800s.
Yeah, Lattimore and
What was going on in America in the 1800s and the 1900s? And them folks wasn't by themselves, was they? They had help.
that's right.
They had a whole lot of help. They had a whole lot of melanated
Unpaid labor.
running around inventing stuff and being magical with their brains and their
Mm-hmm.
hands. What say you? What do you think of this Men Who Built America piece? And the libertarians and the conservatives and the fascist goofballs, they're gonna eat this alive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Right in
if you
time, right in
don't
time to counter sinners, right?
mm-hmm.
Sinners is the number one movie across the world, so they're gonna bring this stuff out, right?
Mm-hmm.
To rival it. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, especially because in certain aspects they become successful in either erasing or distracting us from our stories. And right now it's a fight for the communication abilities, and here it is, people that don't even invent or create, or they'll just pay are the front and center for a lot of these important developments in technology that you're experiencing today.
Hmm.
They look like us, or they're people of color. you know so that's one of the big things that it's going on today. But again, it just gets back to we have to text our kids these stories just for them to actually even just see the name, because otherwise that's the only thing they're on their phone, you know. They're
Yeah.
all on their phones, and so we can create the narrative just as we've always been taught to. Just
Yes.
as you see with these podcasts, we can create the narrative. So
Yes. Recenter the narrative in our
mm-hmm.
day. Absolutely. So let's do that. Here's a question for you. Elijah McCoy, Granville Woods, Benjamin Banneker, so
Mm-hmm.
many
All
others.
great inventors.
So many others. C.J. Walker. Oh my gosh, so
Mm-hmm.
many. Sarah Porter. So many great inventors. So many great first pioneers, and so many great things. You know how many of them had to go to court to fight for their
For
inventions?
their invention.
Because
Thank
these
you.
these people,
The real
right?
McCoy. I mean, up and down.
Yeah, that's where that came from, right?
Yep.
Yay!
You
I'm
can't.
glad you said that. Yeah,
Yep.
the real McCoy. That's where the saying came from.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was
Yep.
about who really owned that particular invention.
That's right.
You
That's
know what I'm
right.
saying? And now they're gonna try to, and even what was it? Was it T.C. Carson or J.C. Carson? So they're talking about Ford, right? And Ford
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the first one who had the patent for the first automobile. It was a brother.
Right. And that's who, I mean, the one he says he
Hold
hired.
on. Let me just see. Person to
you know, while you're looking for it, one of
uh-huh.
the greatest things, at the African American Museum in Washington, D.C.,
Right.
if you haven't been there, you need to go, because, he's trying to dismantle that as well. But the I would call it the exhibits, and it's not just exhibits, that's the evidential truths that
That's the
are all
evidence.
through there.
You're
Here,
right.
with need evidence, this is the evidence,
That's
okay?
the
You
evidence.
know, and I mean, it's really something that everybody needs to at least one time or another fly in. I would love to go. There was just so much on the first visit, and so since I hadn't been back, I would love to go back again.
So here it is. If you can see my screen, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Frederick Douglass Patterson,
Yeah, Frederick Douglass Patterson. He went by
first
the name of
African American.
C.R. Patterson and Sons, invented
Mm-hmm.
the automobile in 1915, a good
Mm-hmm.
almost 10 years before Ford put out the Model T.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, they won't give him credit like that, but we will, because we see it, we know it.
Absolutely.
So we can't let the foo-foo la-la just go on by, just walk on by, foo-foo with the birds, tweet tweet. No, it ain't sweet. Let them know. Let them know that this is not, something that we're gonna, stay quiet about. If
Right.
you're at school and your teacher is trying to pull a fast one
Mm-hmm.
and make you do a 10-page report on Ford, say, well, I'm gonna do a 10-page report on Ford and
Right.
Carson,
Patterson.
Patterson. I'm gonna
Yep.
do a page. I'm gonna do a report on because Patterson was before Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fact that they can't dispute. You know
Right.
what I mean? So as you watch, and I'm gonna watch Men Who Built America because I'm a history buff, so I'm gonna see how they attempt to explain this. I'm gonna see how they attempt to put this rubbish out there in the ethos for the people to digest and eat up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought it was a really, really interesting thing. And what a lot of people should know is that the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, and the Morgans, J.P. Morgan, they made all their money off of the world wars that happened that happened with America involvement.
Mm-hmm.
They
And
were
their
rock.
ability to set the law
Yeah,
of prohibition, but yet be the biggest prohibitioners.
yeah, they made their money off of the war efforts that America
Mm-hmm.
went through. America didn't need to get into the first two world wars. They were financing it. They were
Mm-hmm.
supplying weapons. They were doing everything to make money off of those international wars that were happening overseas. And then through efforts with the Sassoon family and the Rockefeller family intermarrying, and no one wants
Mm-hmm.
to tell you that the Sassoon family was a Jewish Arabic family from the Middle East that were wealthy,
Mm-hmm.
and they married into not the Rockefellers, but they married into the Rothschilds. They married into the Rothschilds, so they could all keep their
Uh-uh.
money, so they could all keep their money rolling in Jewish interests.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. Speaking of Jewish interests, so that was our uh that was our moment of little legacy lesson, right? And we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna get into this right here. I just wanted to show this, right? Speaking of Jewish interests, so every when October, what was it, October 7th? That was the bombing, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Israel.
Oh, the most recent one or back
Yeah,
or
that's
yeah.
when that's what gave them the excuse to make genocide and kill all those millions of people
Mm-hmm.
over there. Okay, so I want here's a quote from Israel's Mossad, right, which is a militaristic arm of Israel. Um, it says Israel sold about 1,600 walkie-talkies with explosive to Hezbollah, which was their common enemy, right? Who they blamed
Mm-hmm.
bombing in October 7th on. 10 years ago and did not activate until 3 months ago. The walkie talkies were worn in battle. So in 2002, Mossad began developing a new device for Hezbollah fighters to have in their pockets at the time. Mossad created fake ads on YouTube to advertise their pagers. Um, did you hear about this one where the pagers blew up?
Yeah.
Or the walkie talkies? It was walkie talkies and pagers.
Yep.
So instead, the salesperson offered Hezbollah the first batch of pagers with free upgrades. By September 2024, Hezbollah had 5,000 explosive pagers and walkie-talkies in their possession. I'm going to find the rest of this because there's a quote in that I want to use and I want to show you guys. Give me 1 second. What did you think of that? What did you think of that as like a tactic?
Well, remember, I don't know if you've seen that show that used to be on one of the cable chains. It's called Homeland, and one of the episodes was about the phones, and that there she's flipping, flipping up her phone. But they were looking back, and at the end of it, they because it was something similar that everybody in America was buying, and at droves, and they kind of identify either through the overdressed actor to show the person's ethnicity, or just allude to a person of whose ethnicity. And at the end of it, because they were tracing down all of that's why they said all of the street phones were removed, because there was this national threat. And so that's why all of a sudden, you know, yes, cell phones came up, but all of the street signs were removed. And they were showing that they were set to blow up throughout the United States. So that
Wow.
episode, yeah. So I'm like, when I was reading this on either one of somebody had sent it, and I say, what? I said, isn't that an episode of Homeland? But that show was on 10 years ago. All right,
Yeah.
so yeah, I was like, shoot, people put it right out there right now. Nobody's who's I'm like, who's watching the farm? Shoot.
Yeah. So I want to show y'all this. And this is what a Mossad agent said, right? Let me just find this. Okay, this is a Israel militaristic arm, Mossad, and this is one of the agents says, right? This is Israel. These are the Jews, right? The orange Jews,
Mm-hmm.
right? Gotta say it that way for the YouTube. This is the orange juice, right? So they say, former Mossad agent said, we are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We are the directors. We are the producers. We are the main actors. The world is our stage. Now, why can't Hasbara just replicate that? The world is definitely not convinced about Israel. The public opinion is on the front line, and the information and disinformation war is on the front line as well. What's your thoughts when you hear stuff like
Again, it's by design. So,
that? Yeah,
and then you're wondering who's watching the house, who's, you know, and there's always been illustrations throughout history of things that were made for good, but was a weapon of mass destruction,
you
you
know.
know, because then it was a race for whoever used it could get it first and use it first. And
Hmm.
I mean, so that's everything from back with the nuclear wars and the Hiroshimas and the, I mean, from that time, and then that retaliation from the Pearl Harbor and all of this, and then that back and forth of, I think the fight was to keep the destruction off of the shores of the United States shores, because it would have been a just massive, you know, just so yeah. I mean, it's by design, and that's why it's important to know history, what have happened, and you know, and that and to know that we will repeat ourselves if we don't, it says
Mm,
check yourself before you wreck yourself. Yeah, well, that's humans. Okay, that's the human mantra. Okay, they need to start checking themselves, and
yeah,
it will cut down. I mean, where's been responsibility for your own actions?
right.
Yeah,
So
yes.
it goes without saying that Dr. Khalid Muhammad was justified once you hear Mossad saying things like this, because he said this in his book, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Global production company. We write the screenplay. We are the directors. We are the producers. We are the actors. The world is our stage. What do you think would make somebody so bombastic that they would give that sort of an anecdote about their involvement in world politics?
That's. I mean, come on, pathological folks, and those that have that. I'm here to take over the world, Musk and Trump, and all of
Right.
those folks.
Pinky in the brain,
Pinky,
right?
pinky in the brain. What are we going to do today?
Yeah, right. Right.
Exactly, exactly. And
Crazy,
and
man.
and like sometimes it's just so strange because you're just sitting back watching and reading and like, oh, this, this is happening live, people. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like, wait. I said, this is happening live, and so yeah,
Yo,
I
what
mean,
was ill about that is I remember when the bombing happened, and then the guy from the Anti Defamation League jumped on um, CNN to talk about all of the, the rally support, right?
mm-hmm,
He was saying, he was pounding the table. This is our Emmett Till moment. This is our Emmett Till moment, right? Um, Sounded like something contrived, right?
uh-huh,
Because if you really cared about the lives that were lost during that bombing, you'd be talking more about the lives that were lost during the bombing and
mm-hmm.
what the theme of the event should
Oh,
be.
right,
What do you
the
think?
party that you're planning. Okay, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, nuts, man, nuts stuff, man. So, there's more than meets the eye to that stuff. Definitely, they definitely the Transformers. Go read up on Bula and Kagan. That was the very first leader of the Khazars that came from the occupied area known as the Ukraine right now, and how they made their way south into what we know as the Gaza area, fighting all the biblical wars, as it were, to claim the Holy Land as they do. Um, so go check him out and check out all of the different conversions that the Khazars made over their period of evolution from his time all the way to now, because they were Christians at first. They weren't Hebrew at first. They were Christian, and then they even wanted to be Islamic, and then they stuck with being Jews. So very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. But before we get too far gone, man, we're gonna get into a lit city report because we got some real cool stuff. And I think Sister Aurora would appreciate what I'm about to show right now. This is really cool. We can talk about it on the other side of the lit city report. Here we go. Right, so we are in a lit city report. The wild, the wacky, the wonderful things that make our world go round because we need levity, we need to laugh, love, and live. And we need to be better for it. That's our medicine. That's what makes us a better people, ultimately. So I'm going to show you something, and it's a forgotten art. I'm going to say that. And when Sister Aurora sees this, she's going to agree because I know her style. And we're going to talk about it. I hope Brother Mozzie's able to tap in tonight because he sent me this. But let's check it out. Real HD Show, Lit City Report. Check it out.
Hands. Before your name meant anything outside the block, there was the basement. No bouncer, no velvet rope, just a hallway that smelled like fried chicken and ambition. Speakers stacked on crates, wires everywhere, and a crowd ready to dance like rent was due at midnight. This wasn't about going out. It was about coming alive. If the basement knew your name, the streets already respected it. No cell phone cameras, no playback. You either lived it or you missed it. We didn't follow vibes, we caused them. We didn't dance to be seen. We danced to survive the silence they gave us. We didn't just show up, we left something behind. No stage, no mic, no deal. But we still walked out as legends. Backspin Chronicles, The Basement Party, where the beat got personal. It wasn't a party, it was a blueprint.
Oh, sugar honey iced tea.
I tell you, let me roll back.
Yeah.
Roll back.
Yeah. Throwback. Let's go. Love those days. Miss them. And that's a forgotten art, like I said. You know.
Yep.
And like the narrator in the clip said, it wasn't just about not getting to the club. It was about moving in, unifying, becoming part of each other. And I think those things uh, broke the veil of, I guess, uh, the inequalities or the rite of passage situations that young men and women went through growing up.
Right. But what also wasn't shown was that, yeah, we were in the basement. The parents were upstairs. Okay. They didn't get in their car and go someplace. Like, where you going? You're going to have a bunch of kids in your house. What you mean you're going to see the movie? You know, you're going to go to the movies? And they forgot that because we, you know, especially if you were fortunate to have that, you know, door that goes right into the basement. I mean, we were able to, in my house, we had that. And so our parents allowed us to have that
door, boy.
That's right, that side door, you know. Well, you have to come through. And, you know, sometimes you'll hear that door upstairs open. Y'all good down there? Okay, y'all behave yourself. Don't be getting into nothing.
Don't have me come down there.
Thank you. Don't have me come down there. You know? Yes, Mama. Yeah. Even your friends would be saying it, the whole room. Yes, Mama, Mr. James. You know. And absolutely. You know, you have to go to the club. And what showed also was that you vouch for those persons that you were bringing into your home, you know. And if it was a friend of yours, they were vouching, but they had to clear it, make sure that was clear, you know. Right.
Yeah. Loved it, grew up on stuff like that. The red light specials in the basement, the parties in the basement, the spade tournaments in the basement, the domino tournaments in the basement. The basement is where you wanted to be because, of course, if you were between the ages of 13 and 18, you couldn't always get into a club. Right. You weren't legal, but you was legal to get out there and run around. You know what I'm saying? And Miss Watkins was like, I'd rather y'all be in the basement playing cards.
Thank you. Then out
Y'all
there in
on
the
that
street.
street.
That's
Come
right.
on, baby. I got some fried chicken for you.
Mm-hmm.
You got some cards and some Monopoly or whatever downstairs, some checkers. Y'all go down there and behave yourselves. Then you sneak the little girls in and y'all have a good time.
Uh-huh.
Only two. Who is it? They from the church? I know your mother, don't I? Ain't your mama named Letitia? You Letitia
That's
girl,
the girl,
right?
baby. Get over here, boy. How your mama doing?
Come on, I said hi. But that was the that was the put you on notice moment. Like I see
That's
you,
right.
I see you. Don't be
And I
cutting
know
up in
who
my
you
house.
are. I know your peoples.
But it was like, right. I'm your peoples, you my peoples, we
Thank
my
you.
peoples.
That's right.
Don't get like they said, don't get bigger than your britches, right?
That's right.
So miss that whole ethic. Um, what do you think about bringing something like that back? Because there's a lot of we're living off this right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
These $1,000 instruments,
Yeah.
and it has everybody here all day long. And then, of course, it creates isolation. It creates real funny ways that men and women, and especially the young people, they
Mm-hmm.
have it the worst because they're not able to communicate with each other in effective ways without it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then, of course, as a rite of passage, you had to connect, you
All
had to
right.
touch, you had to be in a space of someone else who
Mm-hmm.
you may or not have been comfortable with. You had to laugh, live, love, be angry, be
Mm-hmm.
sad, be in the space of someone else that could be a future boyfriend or husband or whoever that was to your wife or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Friends. Made a lot of friends that way too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A
Look
lot of
at your neighbor.
yeah, I could tap into Facebook and
Mm-hmm.
call up a lot of young ladies who I was friends with growing up in school around the neighborhood or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And because of those get-togethers, we got to experience each other in ways that was platonic as well
Mm-hmm.
as intimate, and you got
Right.
a lot of life lessons that way.
Yep.
Is there a way to bring that back for today's time? What do you think?
Well, across the country, I mean, especially now that we're into the summertime, we're getting ready to really be into the summertime.
Hmm.
There are regularly annual events going on almost in every area.
Right.
And especially in New York, and then especially like in the city.
Hmm.
Summertime used to be because there were five of us. My brothers and sisters. And so, mom and dad weren't taking us where they got to pay for each of us, for a ticket for each. So we did a lot of work. She used to always say, if it's free, it's for me. And those
Right.
events, those carnivals, those fairs, you would get your little weekly magazine and it shows you what events that your tax dollars have been paid for, in these parks and have, music in the park and Shakespeare in the park. And whether you were seeing that at Central Park, you were seeing that in your local park, they had all these little events going on. African American night, Pakistani night, Italian night, for music. So our summers used to be very busy with that. We go into it. Oh yeah, they open up the pool, and if as long as you are resident of the town of Hempstead, not a resident of East Meadow, but a resident.
Oh yeah.
we
Oh
we could get
yeah. I
our
remember
asses
that.
over there, and we would go over there like 12. The parents would say, "Y'all stay together." So it'd be like 12. Kids.
Oh
We
yeah.
going walking over from Uniondale to over to the pool where our taxes have paid for it. And that was my mother's favorite thing. Look, our tax dollars pay for that pool. Okay.
Right.
And all you
Right.
had to do
Right.
was show your ID that you're a resident of the town of Hempstead. And so my
Mm.
mother would have us going in all these places. Like, and and you found out sometimes where you was the child, and remember I said there were five of us. So when we would walk into some place, everybody would look because they knew if you mess with one, you got to mess with all of them. Okay.
Right. Right. Let's talk
And
about
the neighbors. Okay.
it.
So,
Right.
so we
And
would go
everybody
there.
that was from where you was from,
Thank you. Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
So speaking of summer, that's a perfect segue. Speaking of summer, this is another forgotten art. I got some sisters in Queens right now, right in the Jamaica, Queens Village area that have taken this up as a lost art, and they're doing it every Saturday. It's warm now. Shout out to Mercedes and her crew. They're getting the young girls out to do this. I wish they would invite the young men, but you know, baby steps, baby steps. But let's check out a past lost art of our culture that we can revive and be blessed again. Check this out, Real HD Show, Summertime Bless Up. Here we go.
Yes, yes, yes.
The double Dutch
Yes,
bus
yes.
coming down the street.
The-
I'm not gonna dig
that,
myself with
that
that
was
one.
my senior year in high school. And because I spent summers in Harlem with my cousins, that's all we did. Okay. That's all we did.
So everybody want to run around taking Ozempic for this and Ozempic for that. So you can be an IG model, Ozempic. You don't need no Ozempic.
Thank you.
Get your double Dutch on.
Thank you. That was
all
the
the
best
Coke
time.
bottle shapes that y'all want. You'll get them doing that double Dutch. You get them legs right. You get the whole hourglass
definitely get
right.
them legs right.
Yeah. So were you good? Were you good?
I was great. We had a team. It was my cousins and then two friends of ours. When I used to go into the city, I would stay with either my grandmother or my aunt, and that was on 116th Street. And so we would get up, you know. Yeah, yeah, right there in those apartments. But yeah, we used to be there, and we used to go be outside and especially like during the weekday, because either one of them ladies would yell at us because the weekend, during the weekday, the church that was nearby there was nobody there, so everybody played in front of there, and we weren't blocking nobody coming in and out of there. But we had teams and everything. I mean, I wish that if we had cell phone cameras, Lord knows, but we would,
that wouldn't have been cute.
Not at all.
That would have been cute back then.
Not at all. Okay. That's the real reason why we're alive today.
You gotta take it. You gotta keep innocence. You know.
That's right. So yeah, but that was our thing. That was our thing.
What was in back in the day, it stays in back in the day. But shout out to the 142nd Drew Hamilton projects and off on Saint Nick and Convent and all them areas in Harlem. Shout out to y'all on the Hill. Shout out to y'all. So people wouldn't have to take Ozempic and all the diuretics and do all of the foo-foo la BBLs and all of that. Get you some good jump rope. Get you a jump rope team. Get you a double Dutch team and work it out. And there are some areas, like I said, in Queens, Queens Village Park. They're doing it right now. Y'all could join. And there's some, folks our age or a little bit younger, millennials who are trying to bring the double Dutch ethic back.
They still have a lot of teams that
you
join. Yeah,
and I wish it was more. I wish there was a balance between the two, so it wasn't just competition oriented. And
right,
something that people did as a pastime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The jumping rope is such a great cardio outlet for you.
Oh, and the arms. I mean, Shoot,
Right.
now if I just have raised my arm 10 times during the day, I'm hurt. I'm like,
Yeah, double dutch is no joke. Jumping rope is no joke.
gave me
It's
those
great.
muscle looking arms. And I was
And
small.
it united the community
Yep.
because if you was out there long enough, the boys was getting into the rope.
Mm-hmm.
We was trying to find out what was popping. Like we might
Yep.
have been hooping or playing basketball or whatever we was doing, but football, whatever. But we wanted to come see what them girls was doing on them ropes. We was
Mm-hmm.
checking it out, and we got involved as well. You know how to jump double dutch, whatever you did, you learned.
Mm-hmm.
I learned. Shout out to the '70s and the '80s jumping double dutch in
Yes.
the park, in the
Yes.
streets. That was such a great thing. United the people, and there are groups who still show that same sort of unity, but in a different way for a real purpose. And we're still in the middle of a lit city report. I'm going to show how those activities and many more community activities can unify communities and have us moving in code and on code with a purpose, um, to really do some constructive things. Let's see, did I have it? Dash, well, well, well. Oh, I have it right here. Okay. So I'll share my screen and I'll put it up right now. This is not mine. This is off to read the sheep show. But so give him a shout, give him a subscribe and check his stuff out. His stuff is real good. I like it a lot. I think he's a real dope brother. Um, let's check this out. Real HD show. I'm just trying to timestamp it so we get
Mm-hmm.
to the right part. I just
Yeah, it doesn't slide.
I'm gonna refresh it.
Yeah.
We'll get it right. We'll get it right.
Okay.
Now they're gonna make me go through a freaking thing on it,
Are you looking for the most
an advertisement. So fun when it happens like this. Okay, here we go. I don't know. It keeps going back on me. I'm gonna come out of it and then I'm going to open it back up again in another tab and get to it. It'll be worth the wait. Just give me 1 second. So fun when this happens. All right. Well, I'll tell you what it is. I don't want to waste any more time. So what that basically was showing that there was a Confederate rally in, I believe it was not Ohio, but right outside of Ohio. Uh, it might have even been Tennessee. And these brothers and sisters came and shut that thing down before it even got started. They wasn't playing no games. They didn't want to hear it. They was there for the ish, like they say in the hood. And as soon as they heard that in their neighborhood they was doing some sort of Confederate Klan rally, they shut that whole thing down. They spray painted over the Confederate flags. They scared them rednecks off. It wasn't. They didn't even get a chance to rally. It didn't even happen because as soon as they started posting them flags, them folks came through in them pickups and all them cars and them jeeps, and they ran them jokers off. And we need that. We need that Ogun spirit. We need that warrior spirit. We need that unafraid spirit to return to us once again.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now that these folks feel real emboldened with a lot of the, with a lot of the Trumpisms and a lot of the, racial epithets that are going on around the country right now.
Mm-hmm.
DEI, everybody's having a DEI, anti-DEI parade every other day for whatever their reasons are. And we need to let them know that we see their antics. We're not afraid of their antics. And we're here to challenge and shut it down, just like we did tonight when I showed you about that men who built America. And
Right.
we challenged that right away. Like that's a lot of nonsense. That's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fugazi. And you don't have to look very far to find out how false that is. And as a matter of fact, they did a lot of robbing, stealing, and conspiratory stuff to build America.
Yep.
The same way that these people think that they are entitled and they are justified and rationalize in their mind that they have an entitlement to put a Confederate flag on a pole or a wall and have a rally in that name. Let me ask you a question. Isn't it in the Alien and Sedition Acts? I'm not sure if you're familiar with those. But isn't it treason to bear a false flag in the country?
To bear it, or
Yeah, to bear it, to fly it. Like you only supposed to fly the American flag.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Because townships fly their flags.
yeah,
They always got the American flag, then they got the town and the municipality
yeah.
flag.
No, but I mean, they're incorporated to do that, and they're not, and they weren't. That flag wasn't known as an enemy flag to the United States. The United States fought a war over that flag. Hundreds of thousands of people were killed in the name of enduring that flag. So it always baffles me how they could just isn't that almost like treason?
Yeah.
Because if you fought a war against a particular country, bear a particular flag, why would you bear that flag right now? Like, I mean, we know the answer. They're trying to, lost cause, Confederates, all of that. They're trying to reclaim the glory of the South and all of that. But why are they allowed to do so? If that flag was an enemy flag of within the history and the annals of the United States, if that flag was an enemy combatant flag and you fought a war over it, why are you able to wave it willy nilly all over the country?
Right. Because they still arrest you if you burn it, right, in public.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, so tell us at home what y'all think. Put it in the chat. Let us know where you're at. Let us know if you feel the way if you think or feel the way we feel about that Confederate piece. Is it a part of American history that is too big to fail? That means it's too much of a part of American law that to be removed. But if that was the case, then why aren't people flying Russian flags all over the place?
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff.
Well, it's probably
Very
because it's not enforced. They don't have enough people to enforce it. So if you
mm,
can't enforce your own laws, you
yeah.
know,
How
there's
about
an
it?
issue. Because
How about
you
it? How about it?
know,
Um, so I'll give you the choice. we can get into a couple of things before we got to get out of here. CIA and Black Masks, Cop-a-ganda, Kids for Cash, the three-tier issue, or U.S. courts lining people up. Which one would you like to get into?
Let's see the U.S. courts and elites lining people up.
All right,
For
yeah, because
800, please.
that's a very interesting thing. So we're gonna get into that. I should have put on the red pill, blue pill moment music, but that's we don't need that. We can we I know what you would pick anyway. So let's get to it. I'm gonna share my screen and pull this up. Uh, let's see. So this thing gotta behave. Let's see. Yeah. So this is off of actually Candace Owens' page, right? I know folks ain't really that fond of her and her exploits, but
Not at all.
she had a point with this one. So you can learn something from just about anything if you're paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
And in this particular instance, okay, here we go. What's the stamp on this? The stamp is 157. Okay. So as soon as it loads up, I'll take it to 157 and then we'll listen to it. We got to get through the paid promotion real quick. Share my screen. All right. We're loading, we're here. And this is really interesting. This is almost a planned obsolescence sort of thing. And it's really about voluntary consent. It's really about voluntary consent and what that amounts to, how careful you have to be when you're like giving permission to, sign it on an app, or you're signing into, a sporting event, or
Mm-hmm.
a minor in the major contracts, and all of the stuff in between. All of it gets into the weeds of um, voluntary consent and what that means kind of long term. All right, it's loading up. So we'll talk until that loads up. Well, either way, it gets into the weeds with voluntary consent. It gets into the weeds of, so what they're basically saying is, with that particular one is, let's say you have a phone, and you know how you have to sign a contract for your phone.
Mm-hmm.
So when you sign a contract for your phone, you're automatically signing into arbitration, and arbitration is in the fine print. So it's basically
Right.
like, how they say when you don't read the fine print, you don't
Mm-hmm.
read the terms and conditions of what you're signing into, you
Mm-hmm.
can't challenge if anything should happen with the product or the service that you're getting
Right.
involved with. You can't challenge it, sign into it. Okay, here we go. I think we're working now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to move to the appropriate place. All right. So yeah, so this thing basically, so while that's doing what it needs to do and loading up, we'll talk about it. So you're signing, you're giving your voluntary consent to things that you don't really think you're giving your voluntary consent to. And we talked about this a lot of times on the show. We've talked about how you give your voluntary consent every time you go into an emergency room. You give your voluntary consent, and that's right, 30 points of arbitration that you're already withstanding. Now, what is arbitration? Arbitration is basically if something happens to you in that terms of service or in that contractual agreement that you made, you don't have the right to sue that particular company or entity straight up. You have to go into arbitration and litigation. You can't go into a court the court will throw it out and it'll send you into arbitration. Now, what's interesting about arbitration is that arbitration doesn't have to obey the rules of a regular court system. They don't have to obey the laws. They don't even have to hear out your evidence. They can make you guilty of whatever they want to make you guilty of, or throw out whatever they want to throw out without you even consenting. Like there was this thing where this woman died in Disneyland. Right, she was riding a ride. It was a wife of a family, mother of children, wife of a husband, and she died on a ride at Disneyland. And so the family sued Disneyland naturally, right? Right.
Yeah.
So they threw the case out of court, forced it into arbitration, and in arbitration they weren't liable for it. Guess why?
Because on the back of the ticket, they
signed into Disney Plus, the TV app.
Right.
So nobody read the terms and conditions of the Disney TV app. But the TV app makes them not liable for any damages that the Disney Corporation does on you. So they threw the case out. The woman died on a faulty ride in Disney. Ain't that crazy as hell? And that family can't get no recompense, no restitution, no justice for what happened to them.
Not even in civil court.
Right, not even in civil court.
Even in civil
and
court.
Because what happened was they went up to the highest court of that state. They went to they went appellate, then they went up to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court threw it out. They said no. They signed into it. Ain't that something?
Yeah.
That's crazy. You sign into an app, and that makes
it governs all of
that's crazy, man. Nuts on nuts on nuts. Let me see if this video is ready. No, it's still doing this thing. All right, we're not gonna mess with YouTube tonight. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's not cooperating. So, but I'll show you some stuff, right? So I'll show you some clips on it. I picked up from the actual thing itself, and we can go into it. All right. So according to the ACLU, you can read my screen as I put this up. Okay. So it says, what they don't tell you is that arbitration lacks critical procedure safeguards. For example, permitting access to evidence from the other side that can be the key in determining your claims, particularly in discrimination cases, which often hinge on how the employer treated other employees. Arbitrators may or may not be lawyers, and they may or may not be trained in resolving discrimination cases. The results are secret, helping companies evade public accountability. The outcome is binding, and there generally is no right to appeal. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
But it's true.
Yeah, it's very true. But I wanted to bring this to the people because there's a lot of situations when as a people, when we're done wrong, and we feel like we want to stomp the yard and protest and do this and do that. And how many of us are very aware and cognizant that we're signing into these agreements? And we sign into them for the convenience, the luxury, the bonuses, the benefits. But
we don't even read it. We go, yeah. And then we scroll all the way to the bottom. Where's the box that I check? Where's this?
Yeah. How many people have read their full car contract before they took the car off the lot? Not many.
That's right.
Do you know what how your APR is adjusted? Do you know what happens in terms of service if there's some sort of ungodly event that your car faces some ungodly event that you have to manage? What are you entitled to? What are you not entitled to? So here's another thing about arbitration, right? And this is after you give your voluntary consent. That means you sign into a contract for whatever service or product, and now you're at the mercy of arbitration. That's in the underwriting of this contract. Arbitration tribunals set their rules, and they are typically not bound by procedural formalities employed by courts, nor are they always bound to follow substantive laws that govern traditional court systems. Nevertheless, primary law and decisions handed down by other arbitrators deciding similar issues can be important sources. Persuasive authority resolving an issue sent from arbitration. So that means they're not bound to respect due process, existing precedents, or what goes on in a court of law when it comes to your rights after you sign into something. So let me ask you a question, Sister Aurora. Is this planned obsolescence?
Is it
Is this
planned?
yeah, is this planned obsolescence? So obsolescence is like when something breaks over time. And planned
Yeah.
is you're planning for a product or a service to break over
Right.
time. So
Well, you got to go back to,
mm-hmm.
I mean, when you're dealing with arbitration, you go back to the beginnings of how they used to arbitrate. Was either in a duels match, okay, winner takes all, okay, because the other one is dead. I mean, so anything it's any rule that has been man-made to get to run, to actually skirt, not really skip, but skirt around any particular laws or policies or practices.
Yeah.
That's where, arbitration. And you're right. Sometimes, you don't get to know who's your arbitrator or why. If a court says, yeah, this person and you going to go in a room, you're going in that room. You're not asking to see proof. Okay. No, no licensing, no, nothing. You follow whoever seems to have approached you in an authoritarian manner.
Yeah, so there was a lawsuit, according to Reuters, there was a lawsuit accusing American Arbitration Association of America of monopolizing the consumer market. I'll read a little
Mhm.
bit of it. It says, according to the complaint, the AAA, not the AAA when you got a flat or your car breaks down, but the
Right.
AAA for
Or
American
alcohol
arbitration,
drama.
approximately 94% of private consumer arbitrations in America significantly outpaces competitors. The second provider is Jams with only 5%. So that means that 94% of arbitrators, when it's kicked out of a
Come through
court
this.
and it has to go to arbitration, 94% of arbitrators come from this particular company, American
Yep.
Arbitrators Association of America.
Yep.
And the courts are all too happy to kick this stuff out of court. Matter of fact, they'll say that's the first thing they look for. Is there
Mhm.
arbitration involved in this? And they'll search whatever the document is. All right, this is out of here. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want it in my court.
Mhm.
This is ugly. I don't want to deal with it. So if it gets
Mhm.
ugly and it gets in the press, my name ain't associated with it. I can keep my good standing as a judge. I ain't got to worry about trying this case. Y'all handle it. Y'all deal with it. Y'all got the monopoly anyway. Y'all run with it.
Yep.
94% of arbitrators come from this particular place. Then there was
Yep.
another famous incident where Uber had a famous court case where this couple got T-boned in an Uber, and they were going to sue Uber for the accident. And they got the American Arbitrators Association involved. America's Arbitration Association ran them through and of course they had all kind of debilitating injuries, neck, back,
Mhm.
spinal, all type of stuff, right? All type of stuff, jaw, all type of stuff, right? Whiplash, just you name it, they had it. The husband and the wife sent it through arbitration. Arbitration kicked the whole case out because a daughter signed up for a Domino's Pizza Uber delivery. The daughter was 12. And in order to get the Domino Pizza delivery through Uber, you had to sign the terms and conditions, which kicked it right into arbitration.
So she lied about her age too, because
No,
that's
no, she just ordered the pizza like any normal person would order a pizza.
mm, mm.
But when you click that thing that said, "Oh, do you understand?" You're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Give me my pizza. Here's my money. Go."
Uh-huh. Yep, that's what I said.
Just make sure I got the pepperoni and or whatever, whatever on it, right?
Mm-hmm. You're like, you forgot the fine print.
A 12-year-old daughter ordered pizza.
Yeah.
Her mother and her father are crippled over terms and conditions from buying a pizza. Out of control, man. We got to be vigilant out here. We got to keep our eyes open. We got to keep our head on the swivel. And if we know something about what's going on with a company or a service, or put your people on, man. Tell them don't spend your money over there. They got that foo foo la la stuff going on. Don't spend your money there. Because if something happens, they not ready to help you out. You know what I'm saying? They're not ready to do
Mm-hmm.
you right. You know what I mean? Have you ever been in any situation like that, or heard somebody who had a situation like that?
Well, unfortunately, all the time,
Yeah.
I also, that's what the job is.
If it's too personal, don't worry about it. I get it. If it's too personal, don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. But right,
Yeah.
and it can get real personal. It could be about the job. It could be about
Yeah.
kids. It could be about school. It could be about a lot of things that just get downright nitty gritty personal.
Mm-hmm.
There was another story within that frame I was going to show. If that video would have cooperated with me, it's probably my Wi-Fi acting up. Um, and it was denoting how this one company, you know how it is like hostile takeovers of companies.
Mm-hmm.
So this one mega corporation bought like these different like theme parks, like you know Universal Studios,
Right.
Center, Six Flags. So this dude bought up a bunch of theme parks, and one of the theme parks was called the Little Gym, and there was an opportunity for little kids to go in there and do tumbling and
That used
little.
to be a franchise.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And this couple, uh, the husband was a federal agent. The wife was a owned the Little Gym. She ran the Little Gym, and there was a hostile takeover. So the man bought out 7 companies. Little Gym was one of them. Put all these stipulations in, all of these fiduciary clauses that changed up the way that people did their business, collected their
Mm-hmm.
revenue, handled insurance and all the benefit who just bought it, but benefit their financial bottom line, right? And because they did some nefarious stuff with the woman's insurance, and the woman had a situation where she got pregnant, and she didn't know if she was ready to take it to term or not or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But because the insurance was in flux, they made her have an abortion that she didn't want to have. Isn't that crazy? Isn't
Wow.
that crazy? Only because she knew she wasn't going to be able to get the insurance that she needed to bring the baby to term before the company, the macro company,
Mm-hmm.
laid out the insurance that they had. So they made her get an abortion.
Well, she should have gone to social service or something.
Wow, I felt so bad for her. And then she had complications.
Wow.
Folks, please, when you get, I know you want your shiny tablet, your shiny phone, your computer, your vacation timeshare, and your car, whatever it is, look real good. You happy trying to make the transaction. You finally saved up enough money or enough credit to make the transaction. And you're there and you got bells on and you're clicking your heels 3 times like Diana and the Wiz and you're trying to make it happen. And you're not reading the fine print. And then you're making yourself a slave to the arbitration and the planned obsolescence
That's the
within that
whole
service.
timeshare game.
Within the service of the product. And you don't know what impact that's gonna have on your life. If y'all want to check that out, go on Candace Owens' page on YouTube. It's called the show is called um uh The Elites Have It All Sewn Up. U.S. courts and arbitration. So go check that out. And it's very important because, they depend, we undergird the economy with our transactions. You know what I'm saying? There would be no economy if it wasn't for our transactions. But what they make you a slave to, or they make you indebted to through what you agreed to in those transactions. Nasty, nasty work, evil work. Yeah, man. All right, so it's just about 10 o'clock. It was a dope show. We want to thank Sister Aurora for coming on. Always a great
Thank you for
time.
always having me.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. You haven't been on for a while, and I hope everything was all right and y'all were making out. And congratulations to your daughter and her milestone.
Thank
And
you.
we want to say congratulations to y'all and all y'all milestones. We know it's milestone season. It's June.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure if you're getting married or you're going to the prom or you're graduating or, you got a senior turning 80 or whatever's popping right now. It's warm weather season. Congratulations.
Gemini season.
Yeah. Them wacko folks. Now I'm playing. Love my Geminis, man. Love my Geminis. Got a lot of family members that are Geminis. Real dope people, But I only say that in jest. But, congratulations to y'all. Y'all live out y'all happy and y'all best and y'all wealthiest lives. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe to the show. Turn on all your notifications so that every time we have a Real HD show, y'all too can jump in, join in, and have a higher discussion. So for everybody in the Real HD crew and me, the Vic, we wish y'all peace. Y'all walk with power and y'all love
Peace,
on each
yeah.
other. Peace and love. See y'all next week.